All right, so Steve, you and I have scripted the most imperfect ending for the most frustrating season in Bucs history. First and foremost, of course, the Bucs lose at Miami, 20-17 to the Dolphins, who, by the way, have the same record as Tampa Bay right now. Even though the Dolphins are starting their 7th-round pick at quarterback, their number 3 quarterback, but nonetheless, they fall to the Dolphins 2017. We'll get into that in just a second. But here's the deal. So the Bucs now will play the Panthers, and they have a chance to win and still win the NFC South. However, this is really muddied now because of their loss. Okay, obviously if they lose, then Carolina is the champion. But aside from that, the Bucs could win and still not be the champion. So Atlanta plays tonight. That game is in Atlanta, so it's a home game. LA's got to come across the country, okay? But we won't know the result, obviously, until tonight. Should Atlanta win that game against the Rams, which seems improbable, but it's not, because we saw the Rams go to Carolina and lose, right? Different time zone, all that. Mm-hmm. Should they beat the Rams, and the Bucs now, the game is announced as a Saturday game at 4 o'clock.
4:30.
4:30, I'm sorry. But Saturday. So let's say the Atlanta wins, then the Bucs play Carolina. Let's say the Bucs win. Guess what? If that's the case, if Atlanta wins on Monday night, even if the Bucs win on Sunday, they can't crack open those hats and T-shirts. It won't be clinched because Atlanta would then have to lose on Sunday to New Orleans. Because if Atlanta sweeps both the Rams and New Orleans, it don't matter what the Bucs do. Carolina is your champion.
It's a 3-way tie, so the tiebreakers become different, and Carolina would win.
That's right. In a 3-way tie, it goes to some kind of screwy division record or something like that. But yeah, in the end, that would be so apropos for this season, right? A season where nothing has made sense, where up is down. Like you start out 5-1, 6-2, and then lose 7 out of 8? What? 7 out of 8. And the only team you beat were the Arizona Cardinals. And you struggled to do that. I mean, you talk about a tale of 2 seasons. Really, most of it has been one season, which has been all bad, to be honest with you. I mean, it's been 2 months of this, right? And they can't beat any team right now. I swear to you could throw out the Tennessee Titans, and this would be a struggle. It doesn't matter at this point. And after the game, I will say this: Todd Bowles, we couldn't hear what he was saying, but we could hear how he was saying it. The interview room was adjacent, and I mean adjacent, to the locker room down there at Hard Rock Stadium, and all we heard was a lot of volume, all of it from Todd Bowles. Now, we've seen him go off on the podium a couple weeks ago. That didn't do anything. I'm sure it probably did even less in the locker room after the game. But you're starting to see, okay, before we get into the game details, a little bit of fracturing in that locker. We're together, and all this kind of nonsense. I mean, even during the game, like Tristan Wirfs wasn't even playing, right? But there was a little bit of a sideline, little spat between Bucky Irving and the offensive lineman, and Wirfs wasn't having it. He was not going to have that running back tell his offensive lineman what they should or shouldn't be doing. And, after the game, you had guys, Graham Barton says, look, I'm tired of telling you guys the same thing every week. Like there's nothing more to say. And when you get to that, there's nothing more to say stage, okay, I think that's when you have a bunch of guys looking around saying, it can't be us. Even though they know they've made mistakes, and you can point out the mistakes and certain players that did certain things and all of that, because this continually happens, at some point they're going to start looking at other people, namely their coaches, as scapegoats and such. But there is a pattern, to way this team plays. And it's why they lost again to the Miami Dolphins. And even though they might put together a good early drive, and this is 2 weeks in a row, I think they've scored on the first possession and did very little after. they can't sustain anything, and so that's been happening. I mean, been having some success early, then nothing the rest of the game. And look, finally, this is the third straight game that Baker Mayfield has thrown a fourth quarter interception, and I mean an absolute killer of an interception, right?
I'm not sure where he was going with that ball.
I mean, I to a receiver, but the bottom line is the guy that was supposed to be playing, they were playing cover 3, just read his eyes. I mean, he stared the guy down, and so it wasn't his zone necessarily, but he just went and made a play.
Well, that's what I meant. I mean, the guy wasn't open. I'm not.
No, he was never open.
The cornerback had pretty good coverage too, and then
he did.
The safety set there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why he thought he could squeeze it in, but he stared him down, and all he did was draw traffic to the ball.
Yeah, it was puzzle. I mean, and then the first half interception.
That's just
way
bad,
under threw it late
throw.
Late and short.
Late and short to a guy that had won the route.
Yeah, because the guy was open.
Yeah. No, he was. And Jalen McMillan had a big day, and Baker underthrew him, and he took that one. So, I mean, you come out of the game with 2 interceptions and a sack fumble.
Yep.
And the sack fumble, I mean, obviously Tristan Wirfs didn't start, so you got, the rookie out there, the undrafted rookie, and next thing you know, they're giving him no help with Bradley Chubb in a must-throw situation, which I don't get. Like, if you're ever going to use a mass protection type thing, I know you need 5 receivers in that, but you have to have some protection scheme to try to stop Bradley Chubb, from coming off the edge. And they didn't do it. And so he wins, sack, fumble, game over at that point. And this is after they started it, with a long drive and for a touchdown and went up 7-0. Everything that the Bucs have done this year was on display. And when I say everything, I mean everything bad, really bad, right? We talked about Baker in the fourth quarter interceptions. How about the special teams, folks? Another blocked field goal? Really? That's like the third block kick this year.
And what did you lose this game by? 3 points?
3. And it was a makeable kick at the end of the half because they were going to get a field goal at the end of the half, then come out with the ball the second half. He misses that. He gets blocked. Inexcusable. No accountability, And again, it's not the guy. I love the guy, okay? But if you're doing a post-season interview, with your employer, and he comes in and you go, well, how'd it go this year? Well, we had some hiccups, couple of 3 blocked kicks. The other thing that was so freaking obvious was they had decided since last week, when they kicked off, they just said, screw it. We're going to kick the ball through the end zone, give it to him on the 35. I mean, just give it to him. So you're all too happy to concede a 65-yard field, right? Like the 35, you're talking about another 25, 30 yards, and you're almost in field goal range. But they conceded that to prevent a big return. And on the last kickoff, one of his last kickoffs, it just so happened that, you had a situation where they're trying to kick it through the end zone. I've been doing this for 2 weeks now. And Chase McLaughlin's been kicking touchback. Well, he mishit one. He mishit one that was returned. And not just returned, but like nearly 50 damn yards returned. Like they had one kick to cover all day. Just one by accident. And what'd they do? Out the back door, man. Lucky to get them down at all. Like, and these are not like one-offs. This is every week, right? They got every week problems, okay? And not to mention, just this constant drumbeat of got to play better, got to coach better, got to execute, got to, it's not happening. Whatever you think you're doing to prepare these guys during the week, they are not prepared, I assure you. And after the game on Sunday, they sound like that they had a good week of practice, but the practices now are walkthroughs. So I don't even know how you evaluate that, first and foremost. But then they say, well, we come out here and we don't execute, and yada yada, and it's just all a bunch of word salad. I mean, you either do it or you don't. Your team is either good or it's not. And right now, and pretty much for most of the season, with the exception of the first 6-7 games, it's a bad football team, and it's been bad for a while. Outside of the Cardinals, this team hasn't won in over 2 months. Like, and they've lost in some horrific fashion, some self-induced stuff too. This is really this to me felt like rock bottom at the Hard Rock. It was not good, man. It was really not good. And I'm telling you, if they can muster enough anything to go out there, which now for a Saturday game, if they can muster anything to win a game, to beat Carolina, I am now going to be shocked. I'll be shocked. Like, this team hasn't been good for so long, and they make the same mistakes over and over with the same players. Another coverage bust for a huge 60-something yard touchdown. Oh, and it wasn't on Jamel Dean. Who
was
did
all
the
Tyke
right
Smith.
thing.
That was Tyke Smith.
Tyke Smith got lost.
He was late and took a horrible angle. Took
a bad angle. Supposed to have the deep over the top. No coverage there at all for him. Guy runs by him, touchdown. You give up a 63-yard touchdown like that to a rookie quarterback. All you do when you have these guys that are playing, and I'm still convinced that Miami really isn't interested in winning when you win all the way from, Tua Tagovailoa to your number 3. But, hey, man, give Quinn Ewers credit. He won the game, and he made enough plays, but they couldn't even take the gift they were given. I mean, they were given a third-string quarterback and did nothing with it, absolutely nothing. And it's not like he threw for 140-something in the first half. I think he only threw for like 60 yards in the second half. Didn't even really try to push the ball down the field, just was content to run the clock and all that sort of thing. And why not? I mean, why not? But you talk about bad feelings and bad vibes, man. It is not good. It is not good. And I know
it's expected, because when you're still leading the division and you're having issues and playing bad, it's we're just, we need to fix things. It is. Now you're not in control of your destiny. Now you're behind. Now you're in second place. Now,
yep.
That's when the finger pointing starts. That's when it starts to get fractured, as you put it.
Right.
And on the sideline, look, there's going to be little things that, Bucky in the offense, that's going to happen in a season period. Like, but it's more what happens in the locker room.
Yeah.
And you're starting to,
they're fractured.
The comments coming out, it's starting to fracture, and that's a problem. And that's, can they fix it in 1 week, in a short week at that now, because you're playing Saturday at 4:30.
Right. That doesn't help them either, by the way.
Yeah. So you'll come in Monday to your treatment, and by Tuesday you're practicing again, or walking through, whatever you call it. But
they're going to walk through.
You're not getting that off day this week.
Right. Yeah, that won't help them at all. I mean, they need time. They need time to digest this, first of all. Spit it out, kind of like start looking back at Carolina, who you just played. Even Todd Bowles says, he goes, we got to erase this from our heads, before we can worry about anybody else, and just keeps talking about shooting themselves. Same thing, shooting ourselves in the foot, our mistakes, what's beating us, yada, yada. I'll tell you what, the Dolphins played like a better team, period. They were missing guys all over the field. They were just better. Now, they didn't have anything at stake, but that should not matter if you're the better football team. I'm not sure they are, by the way. I mean,
they have the same record.
Same record, and outside of, a couple players that you really like, but many of those are older players. I don't know. I don't know a lot of positions that aren't at least as good. And man, that's a horrible place to be if you're the Bucs. Horrible place to be. But we're going to find out. And there's a lot of speculation, obviously, about Todd Bowles and his staff. There was a report by Ian Rappaport that, Todd Bowles should be good. He signed a 3-year extension, should be good. And I don't know if that's the extent of his reporting, that we know he has a 3-year extension, but guess what? So did John Gruden. So did Bruce Allen, right? They both got canned. I don't think whatever money they're paying Todd, let's say it's even $7 million, right? You can't get a backup quarterback for that, right? So why would that stop you from firing a head coach? It would never stop you if that was your intent, you know? Now, if you're asking me, this has been the refrain I've heard from around the building for some time now, that the owners recognize that the personnel, especially on defense, is really bad. Now, at some point, you got to hold Jason Light accountable for that, because Todd Bowles not picking. I mean, he has influence on players. I don't think he's picking them per se. Maybe he's brought a couple in here that were his faves, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, talent's not good enough, not even close. So, that's the only argument, I guess, for either getting rid of them both or keeping them both, is that you understand that, this in the end of the day, this shouldn't have been a big surprise, simply because you on defense in particular, you just don't have any real difference makers back there.
I was having this conversation today before the game with some Bucs fans, and we were talking about Todd Bowles, and if they lost this game, or they don't win the division, is he out? And my initial thought was, I don't think he is.
Yeah.
But I do think the conversation, it may go a little bit like Lovie Smith. Okay, Todd, what's your plan?
Yeah. And if they don't get answers,
I don't know if the Glazers are going to like. I wouldn't be surprised if the Glazers said, "You're getting a defensive coordinator. We want you to be the CEO, the head coach."
It's possible.
And I don't know what Todd's answer to that would be.
He wouldn't like it. I mean, if he does it, he would hate it.
Yeah, I could definitely see the Glazers wanting coaching changes.
What about an offensive coordinator?
But maybe that too. I mean, it's obvious Josh Grizzard is not having the season that Canales and Cohen did.
No.
But it's pretty hard to go 3 for 3 on first-time offensive coordinators, basically.
Well, yeah, and I also think that, those other guys came from someplace and had a little bit of experience.
Yep.
Not that Josh hasn't coached in the league. He spent 5 years in Miami and 1 year in Tampa.
Yep.
But he called as many plays as I have, right? And so did Canales, by the way, but at least, was with Pete Carroll and since USC days and was, in the booth and doing things. Josh has been here 1 year. I think they just went for continuity. I think that was the whole mantra, was like, hey, we don't want to change the whole offense. It's better to get somebody that knows what we're doing.
Well, because it's eight offensive coordinators in 8 years for Baker.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a way to kill a quarterback. I understand the intent. I do. Mm-hmm. And look, it's hard to judge Josh relative to the other guys who didn't have 5 new players in the offensive line out of position and didn't have, be without Mike Evans for more than a couple of days or a couple
and
weeks.
Tristan Wirfs for
both tackles.
6 games, whatever.
By week 2, you lost both tackles, right? By week 3, you had 5 offensive linemen playing in not their natural positions, right? So there's been this evolution of injuries, but now they've been back. You started getting guys back, and it does not look better. In fact, in many cases, it looks worse.
Yep.
But flashes here and there.
I want to amend my comments because while I said I don't think he'd be gone, but maybe changes coaching, defensive coordinator, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
If they feel the locker room's fractured, or if they feel Todd Bowles has lost the locker room, then they have to make a change.
That's true.
Like if it's fractured just because of some players or the lack of talent, okay. If they think it's Bowles has lost the locker room, then at that point you have to make a change. Like you don't have a choice at that point.
Listen, there's only one of 2 solutions here, right? And it's never one thing, but if your coaching staff isn't coming up with the best game plans or putting players in the right positions, that will definitely cause you to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your players, if the talent's not good enough, if you're just getting whipped, right, at certain positions, and you can't until the draft and free agency, you just not a whole lot out there after the trading deadline you can do to fix it. That's a horrible position to be in. In this case, I think it's both. I think defensively, they don't have any playmakers over there. They just don't. I mean, I watching Miami come off the goal line, like, I don't know, third and really long, and they're sitting on like their own one, and they
Third
pick
and
it
12,
up.
I think it was.
Yeah, and you pick up a first down there, like what? And not just a first down, but like, here's a little short throw in the flat, missed a tackle, oh, first down. Like, how many missed tackles can this team have? Honest to God, it's like I know you don't practice taking people to the ground, but you might want to start practicing taking people to the ground, or get Greg Schiano down here with his big padded donuts that they can jump on. I mean, it's embarrassing. It really is. And they've been doing this now for a while. So it's the psyche of this team is not one that's confident. It just isn't. They can sit and talk about it. They can say it, hey, and like for the last time, by the way, we still control our own destiny, or, we just need to win one more game. Well, that's not entirely true, as we know, as we discussed, with the Georgia Bulldogs, or Georgia Bulldogs, listen to me.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Where did I go? The Atlanta Falcons.
Well, same state,
Same stadium.
The Georgia Bulldogs may be the better team in the state.
Yeah, actually, better be hoping that they're not playing the Georgia Bulldogs soon. But yeah, they don't control their own fate anymore. And when they did, they never did anything with it. So it's just, if you were a bowl committee, you would say, no way does this team deserve to be in any playoff whatsoever. That's not the NFL, though. Somebody has to be declared the division winner, and it very likely will be a team with a losing record. There'll be a lot of squawking.
If the Bucs win
that.
it'll be the second time in 4 years they've made the playoffs with a losing record.
That they have done it themselves, yeah. 8 and 9 in 2022. Now, I'll say the difference between that and this, and there wasn't much, but they had already clinched the division when they went to Atlanta for the final game.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady played the first quarter or so, and they were actually ahead in the game. Then they put in Kyle Trask, and they lost. So they didn't play to win. They took guys out to preserve them for the playoffs, and then they just got smashed by Dallas. I mean, Dallas came in here, Tom Brady's final game, just destroyed them, right? Something similar could happen, if it's Seattle or whoever it is that may end up here. You'd have, even if they won a game, and there would be some buzz from it, right? You go, Carolina comes here, you beat them. If by that time maybe Atlanta has lost and you're putting on the hats and the T-shirts, you're like, all right, new season, wipe the slate clean. Can you do that? Yeah, you can to an extent. Unless you're getting new players in, though, it's not really going to make you better. But it is a second season. Funny things happen. Last year, the Washington Commanders went to the championship game. They barely beat the Bucs. I didn't see that coming. But you'll get a run like that every year from somebody.
And you're going to get a home game.
And you're going to get a home game, which is enormous for the playoffs, especially. Playoffs. I mean, nobody loves that better than the Glazers, who make big bank on that. And they're still counting on that. And that might be a reason why they don't fire Todd Bowles. Like, hey, say what you want about Todd Bowles. He gets us a home playoff game every year. He's more than paid his salary, that's for sure. But I still think I'm with you. They may be leaning one way or the other and leaning heavily towards retaining Todd. I mean, absolutely, it could be. And you could make a good excuse for that, or at least good reasoning why they would consider that. But they don't have all the information, and they will wait until this is over, and they will talk to Jason Light, and then they will at some point very shortly talk to Todd Bowles and say, okay, this was a disaster. Here are the areas we stunk at, right? What's your plan? And if the plan isn't good enough, then they're going to pull the trigger. I've seen it happen. And you just have to wonder, like, who's in the Glazers here, about coaches, about any of this stuff, But Jason Light, I think, has to be on the hot seat too. I mean, if you're going to put, Todd Bowles there, how about the guys picking the players? I mean, that's part of it. But I don't expect Jason to go anywhere. I actually haven't thought Todd would, and I still kind of don't. But let's see how this next game actually transpires, and
Well,
whether
they may be having the same conversation with Jason. What's your plan?
they may well. Yes, that's true.
The defense doesn't have enough talent. What's your plan?
And they should ask that question. In the past with Lovey, they just didn't like the answers, and Jason basically just met with him separately and then called Lovey and said, we're still talking. They want to see you tomorrow. It's not going your way. And he goes, "What do you mean it's not going my way? I'll be there in 15 minutes, man." And he showed up a little angry, cleared out his office, and was gone by 11:30 at night. And there was a real sort of a separation there between Jason, who was hired by Lovey, and then Lovey, who had to, kind of take the bullet for it. But yeah, you don't know what their situations will be. It's the most messed up season I can remember. I've covered seasons where teams started out 4-2, 3-1. That's who the Bucs have been these last 3 years, right? But even like going back a little ways, you're getting some, it just, there's no sustainability of anything. Like, what do you do well? Like, what are you consistent on? Do you rush the passer? Do you cover well? Do you tackle? Do you play harder than anybody else? Do you create turnovers? Like, all those little very important variables that you kind of check the box or not, and none of them are checked. Like, zero, right? I don't know how they got 2 Pro Bowlers on this team. I really don't. Neither one's having a very good year. But they're represented.
Reputation,
purely, yes, absolutely, in both cases. So, and we got 1 game to go, but if they're going to squawk about Todd Bowles, you got to also squawk about the quarterback. You just do. Like, his last 4 games or so, I mean, he started out 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And it's a 2 turnovers a game now. It's been really bad, and you got 1 more year left on his contract.
The one caveat to that is, and this is what we don't know, and they do,
how he feels,
just how banged up he is.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's very banged up. That's right. I don't know anything. I haven't seen an X-ray, MRI, any of that. He did take a hit, and that left knee was barking at him pretty good. But I saw that hit, and that was bad, and it has been bad, I think. Yeah, we don't know. He's got the oblique. I think that's affected his accuracy. Obviously, he's been hit a lot this year.
I mean, you always marvel at the end of the hockey season when they start going through the injuries that the guys played in the playoffs with. I think that could almost be a Baker Mayfieldism this year.
And they don't do that in football, but they should. I think it would be very similar. I think we're going to find out he has a knee problem, and it's more severe than we thought. Look, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl. He had a torn MCL and just put a brace on and played. It was all over. I wrote a story that he had a torn MCL, partial tear, but braced it up and went. That's what these guys do. Can you go? We need you, big guy. How you feeling? They all go out there. But yeah, it's a different vibe in the locker room. A lot of clusters of players talking quietly to themselves. Everybody has an opinion, right? None that they want to share with anyone. But oh my God, and Bowles is he doesn't know what to say. Because every week's the same. He just doesn't know. And because of that, just look at my timeline, man. People want him gone, and they want him gone yesterday. It's incredible. And to be honest with you,
they wanted him gone last year.
Well, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
To be honest with you, I don't know how, aside from, I did put those banners in your facility. I don't know what the selling points are. Like, this is a business, right? And the Bucs, they want business to be good. And I think it's going to hurt them in attendance if, certain things don't change. Now, again, I don't hire and fire coaches. That's more John Romano's job. But we'd be naive to think that they're not at least looking at his future just a little bit. I mean, what is he, 61, 62 years old?
I think they look at every coach's future every season.
Every season. I think you're right. I think you hit it on the head. He's going to go in there and they're going to go, what's your plan? How do you fix this? How are you turning this around? And if they don't like the plan, they'll be looking for a new head coach. And there's always people out there. Always. So I don't know if it's going to come to that. Todd's done a remarkable job of pulling them out of these death spirals, but this is as far as it can go. It's as far as it can go. And Baker even said it, kind of after the game. He was like, hey, look, we're out of bullets. We're out of lives. He goes, and that's all right with me. So some guys like the pressure and some guys shrink from it, If you had more Baker, although Baker, again, it's great, you're rah-rah and all that stuff, but how about you take care of the ball? That's the biggest job you have is at football. And it's been a constant these last 5, 6, 7 weeks. It's just been hard to watch, and I don't know. I don't have, if they made the playoffs, I think it would be very much like 2002, where they just get destroyed at home by somebody, San Francisco, Seattle, whoever, So now it'll help the Glazers. It'll help the Gate. Maybe get a little more confidence in them back. And yeah, any given Sunday, right? But man, it's just not good. And I'm not going to read my timeline, but I can tell you that's not good either. Oh my God. During the game, I'm getting like these long emails from people. It's like, wow, you sat down and actually wrote this, huh? But yeah, Bucks Saturday at 4:30. Oh my God. Can I get a day off somewhere? Let's go.
There's no day off for the team this week, so
nothing. No, that's it. They got to come in tomorrow. I would imagine they'll get their lift in, maybe look at whatever film of this debacle that they want to see. Mm-hmm. And then the coaches are going to get right to work on the game plan for Carolina. Now, the good news is for both teams, they've just played each other. It's fresh in your mind, right? If you're Carolina, you're probably not going to try to change much. And if you're the Bucks, you probably need to. But they both done work, and just saw each other, 2 weeks ago or a week ago. So I don't think it'll be that difficult. But as far as making plays against them has been, and again, the Panthers weren't great, to say the very least. That's why they lost on Sunday. They're a team that you can beat. They're not going to score a ton of points. Bucks haven't scored a ton of points, but if you can get up on them and hang on, I don't know what the crowd will do. I don't know if the crowd's going to turn on the Buck. I just don't know. I don't, but it is sort of a playoff atmosphere. What will be really weird, though, is Atlanta winning Monday night, and then nobody knows anything. It's just going to be walking around for a little bit, to see if they don't win another one, and also what you do. But, man, what a long trip. Not only did I went down there, and it took me through the turnpike, and wouldn't you know, outside of Miami, and it's the biggest backup you've ever seen, man. No one's going anywhere. I'm like, geez, here we go, an extra hour or so on the road. And then I wound up checking in the same hotel. The hotels, for some reason, and it must be because of winter break, are out of control. Like, $700 for a Fairfield and stuff like that. And first of all, they were all booked. I couldn't find anything. But I stayed way up in Boynton Beach. It was the same courtyard that I stayed at before the NFL owners meetings. So I knew it well. I could have asked for my same room if I wanted to. But yeah, there just wasn't a lot going on. And then, I'm at the game, and nobody cares. I realize this, but I moved somehow, and my lower vertebrae just went, eek. And I'm telling you, I had to stand up for the next 30 minutes. I couldn't sit down. And thankfully I wasn't in front of anybody, but I'm telling you, in back pain, and Jenna Lane's had surgery, with ESPN.com and all the stuff she's been through, but back pain now, that's
we're gonna have to put you on the injury report this week. Or are you gonna be
I'm there.
limited at practice, or
I'm a DNP. I'm a DNP right now.
Okay.
I got to get treatment. I got to get an MRI, and I got to know what's going on back there because,
Well, then you can use all that comp time to do that.
I can. Sure, I can. I can't. I can't risk it. I can't risk going out there and not being able to finish the playoff game that might matter. The play-in game that will mean everything. So yeah, a little nicked up. The drive is not good. Just 4 hours of slogging up and back. The trucks going 95 miles an hour by you. It's scary, man. It's scary out there. I think I didn't realize this, how many people from all over the country, and for that matter, Europe, but like during Christmas time, during the winter type break, like this area is slammed, There's just a lot of people. So it's tough when you get on the roads and, you're in the middle of the night and there's still bumper to bumper at 80 miles an hour. Like, it's kind of scary, but that's where we live. So good Christmas, tough start of the new year, if you will. So that'll be something else to look forward to. But yeah, Bucs lose to the Dolphins, who have the same record. I mean, the Dolphins were the poster child for the biggest train wreck in the NFL, right? I mean, the coach was unsettled. GM gets fired. Like, quarterback nobody suddenly wants. Like, it's a mess down there. It's just an absolute mess. And somehow the Bucs made them look like the 80s 49ers. It was Dan Marino's out there throwing for 160 something in the first half. I mean, they shut it down in the second half. They hung on and won the game, which is what you're supposed to do. So, all right. Meanwhile, we'll get to hockey and a good weekend for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Get on down to Breitling Boutique, folks, because you know what time it is. It's time for you to buy one of those Buccaneer team watches. There's actually 32 team watches while supplies last. These are the Chronomat watches. Absolutely gorgeous. They have the team colors on the face of the watch, the logo, you name it. It is something you're going to cherish for a long time. And they have women's watches as well for your wife, your girlfriend. These are sports watches, extremely durable. If your wife or girlfriend's on the move like mine, she's going to appreciate that for sure. Also can choose from an array of different colored wristbands down there at Breitling Boutique. Listen, it's International Plaza Mall. Santa's gone, but if you screwed up during Christmas, here's a chance to make up for it. Go on down, see our friends at Breitling Boutique. They'll hook you up and let them know that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. So here's what I kind of missed the opportunity. Not that they would ask me to do this, but like I drove down Turnpike, disaster, wreck, all of that, and finally get to my hotel and sort of flip on the TV, and lo and behold, the hockey team, the Lightning, are actually in South Florida playing the Florida Panthers. And I'm like, well, that would have been a nice little double dip, right? If you're a fan. And I think a lot of fans did that, but or a sports writer for that matter. I could have helped out my buddy cop, Eduardo, but I was unaware. I'm just so hyper focused on what's going on with the Bucs and all the stories I had to write. But that would have been an easy one where, kind of check out the Panthers. A good
Absolutely.
weekend.
It was a good game, another spirited game, another lopsided calls by the referee game. But
was it in favor of Florida?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Lightning had to kill off 10 power plays.
10?
Yeah, they went 9 for 10 in the penalty kill, which is really good.
Damn good, yeah.
Yeah, they had 26 penalties called against them, the most ever in a regular season game.
Now, you think that's because the officials were hyper focused on any shenanigans, or just that's the way
that was
play?
part of it. That was part of it. I thought the Lightning were looking to try to start stuff too much, and so I thought a lot of the calls were warranted. I thought every time there was a scrum, though, it seemed like the Lightning got the extra penalty. Not sure all those were warranted.
Yeah.
But the Lightning got the 2 points, which is the most important part of it.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing well. They're getting they're munching points, as you would say. But
now Sunday they started
blew
slow,
a lead, right? Yeah,
got a 3-0 lead though.
Yeah,
and then
finish that.
They were up 4-1 with 10 minutes to play, and they had to go to a shootout. They won in the shootout, but on the second half of a back-to-back, against a team that hadn't played in 5 days, was rested.
Yeah.
And the Lightning did this last time. They played Florida and Sunrise and came home the next day and played Vancouver that time. And they just didn't have gas. Like, that's an emotional game in Florida. It was a tough physical game.
Another hard-hitting type game, yeah.
And Lightning, I think, tonight showed some of those same signs. But they found a way to get the 2 points.
Oh, they've beaten Florida now twice, right?
Yeah. They've played 3 times this year. They've beaten twice.
Which is encouraging, just in of itself. So
beat them both times in Sunrise.
Yeah, which is huge.
Yep.
So that part's really good.
We'll have one more meeting this year, but
yeah.
So the Lightning have won 4 straight games now. McDonough's back on the IR.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hagel's back though, so that was good.
Is the McDonough thing related to the same injury?
Yep, he re-aggravated it.
Ah, God.
So he's out. Cooper said, he goes, they asked, what about McDonough? He goes, what if I said he wouldn't play again this year?
Well, that'd be news.
Well, they have one more game this year on the 31st. Not the season,
Coop,
the year.
You got me, buddy. You got me. It's a Happy New Year thing.
But he said he might be on this trip, may not be. They're going to California now. They leave today for California. They'll play Anaheim on New Year's Eve, the Kings on New Year's Day, and then San Jose the same time as the Bucs game Saturday at 4:00 Eastern.
Oh, perfect.
So those will be going at the same time Saturday.
Nothing will get in the paper.
So if you're at home, if you're not going to the Bucs game, you need 2 TVs that day.
Yeah, you do. Actually, maybe you don't want to watch 2 TVs. Maybe just one. I'm telling you, I just cover the team. I don't have a dog in the hunt. I swear nobody believes that, but it's true. But like, I can't imagine being a Bucs fan right now. Like, my son is a Bucs fan. He's in Denver. He can't even watch anymore. He's like, what the heck? What's going on? And he has opinions about what they should do. Jalen McMillan showed up. There's a guy that's played one game or so and, walked around with a collar for 14 weeks on his neck, was told that he was inches away from maybe being paralyzed, and he's come back and balled out. He
did, but it'd be nice to have a little effort on that interception.
Well,
just a little bit. Like,
what I think happened? I think he thought college rules. He reacted like it was still college, which is to not react at all.
Yeah, but I also didn't think he fought he didn't try to go back for the ball either. He just kind of was running his route.
Yeah, a little bit.
But the rest of the game, he was fantastic. But
he made a couple sliding grabs for first downs.
Oh, yeah.
And, for a guy that got hurt in training camp in Pittsburgh, and not just hurt, but couldn't do anything, right, for the longest time. He showed up. That's what you got to have. You got to have guys starting to show up, and especially the quarterback who's killing them. I mean, he's killing them right now. You're not going to change it, but he's got to play better or they have no shot. And even if they win, okay, all right, what's your confidence level in the postseason? But at least they won't, and I would agree with you. What's going to happen is the Rams going to lose to Atlanta, and the Bucs let's follow this. So the Bucs would probably then win, just to spite everybody. They'd probably win on Sunday, and then they still could lose if Atlanta wins again and Carolina goes by virtue of tiebreakers. Like that would be the most screwed up ending to the most screwed up season. And they did it all to themselves, right? They just did it all to themselves. But that's kind of where we're headed. It's even the best team, the first place team is still the worst playoff team, probably going into these playoffs. And they're going to host a game. Like I said, people will be squawking, but they may well, ironically, like you say, well, they have no chance, right? This is the way they're playing, but you don't know. You don't know. It's always a second season, and
you always have a chance. You always have a chance.
That's right. You're on the field. Like, matchups are funny. Pressure does funny things. There's injuries during games that changes games.
It takes one funny bounce, one turnover,
That's it.
One fumble that can change the way the game goes.
And you know what makes it so different than the regular season is? For one of them, the season's over. Like, You know what I mean? Like if you have a bad day, if you have a turnover at the wrong time, if you do anything, you could cost all your teammates a chance at winning a Super Bowl or getting more paychecks or whatever. But like, there's just so much at stake that it's magnified, but rightfully so. Because it's hard to get in the playoffs, and it's harder still to stay there and to win. So, gonna be a great, interesting couple of days. No days off because the Bucks play on Saturday, so you can expect Todd Bowles with his post-mortem, and then they'll be going to practice on Tuesday, I would imagine, and then go through the week. So we'll see how it turns out. All right, so we got the Lightning, we got the Bucks. Again, get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Make sure you check out the beautiful NFL collection of watches. They also have men's watches, the Navitimer Chronomats women's watches, durable sports watches with all kinds of different colored wristbands to choose from. It is Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Make sure you let them know you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Thanks for listening, as always. Even though a lot of Bucs fans did get the result they desired, it's never a dull moment. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.